Hello, Lakewood Ranch homeowners. Are you considering putting your house on the market? Well, if you are, then this video is for you because we're going to cover all the details for properly staging a home, and we're going to bring in a home stager to talk about the ways that you can increase the value of your home so you can sell it for the highest amount in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of stress. So if that's of interest, just stick around. We have all the details coming right up. Hello, it's Mark Boehmig with Michael Saunders and Company. And in this channel, Selling in Lakewood Ranch, we teach sellers how to get the highest value in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of stress so that you can get your property sold. So today we have Alexandra Given joining us. So I'm going to bring in Alexandra, and she's going to give us some tips on how to properly stage a home. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very well, very well. Happy New
Good.
Year.
Well, you too. So I have worked with Alexandra on quite a few properties, and she does an excellent job. So what I thought we would do is just get started and ask a few general questions and then show some examples of what she has done for some of my clients in the past. So if you could just give us an idea of how did you get into the home staging business and what all was involved?
Well, getting into home staging, I worked in central London in real estate for almost 10 years. And I used to move my furniture around as a child from a very early age. My parents would come back, and at 8 years old, I'd move the bed from one side of the room to the other. And I figured out pretty quickly how to move even the largest pieces by sort of getting down the ground and wriggling and moving things around. But largely when I was in real estate in London, I used to get really, really frustrated when I was giving my clients feedback. And my initial thoughts were, when they were like, well, how, what were their thoughts? What did they think of when they'd seen the house? And I was like, well, they thought the curtains would have been better if they'd have been open. If you'd have taken the trash out, that would be great. It smells like you've got three cats when you've just got the one. And the list kind of continued from there. And it's just, you see more and more stuff as you're coming in, where if you've got shoes everywhere around the door, or because you've raced out in the morning and you haven't drawn the curtains, made the bed, put things away. It's sometimes it can be the simplest thing. And I ended up just starting to get to showings earlier and earlier each time, so that I could pop the vacuum around if I needed to, straighten up bedding, open up curtains, putting things in the dishwasher,
Right.
which I know made a massive difference. And at the time, it just wasn't, home staging then wasn't a concept. And then sort of fast track later to moving over here. And I moved because my father initially lived here. And then I really didn't want to go back into real estate, but I wanted to, home staging had really started to, it started to catch on. And so I just decided to go for it and set up by myself. And here we are, coming up for 6 years later.
That's pretty good. Well, that kind of leads us into my next question, and that is the benefits of home staging and what that will actually do for the sellers. Could you expand a little bit on that?
Yes. I can do as little or as much as a property needs. And the main benefits is it's going to sell quicker because it's going to look better in photographs, and it's going to appeal to the widest dynamic of buyers. And that's what we want. We want to make sure that we've done everything possible so that when your home is ready, it's going to shine. It's going to look its best. It's a bit like going on a blind date. You really, if you make the effort when you're going in and you've had your hair done, you've got a little bit of makeup, maybe a new shirt, you've ironed it, all the little bits and pieces, then when you go there and you have a great first date, hopefully you're going to have a second date, and you may end up together. But if you go in looking scruffy or
Right.
you haven't brushed your hair and the wrinkled shirt, then you're not going to be as appealing.
First impressions. Yep.
First impressions are everything. And nowadays, with the pandemic, more so, because so many people are buying without actually going to see the property. They're buying
Right.
from the state, and everything is online now. And when we do anything else online, we click on it, we zoom in on it, whether we're on Instagram, whether we're on Facebook, everybody clicks in and zooms nowadays. So you need to have everything right, or somebody's going to zoom in on whatever fault there is in the background and be able to see it. So,
well, what I'm going to do, I want to go over this, and that's kind of what is involved and how does the process work. And I'm going to bring in a couple of examples of some staging that you've actually done for some of my clients.
okay.
And in this particular one, this was a home that we listed in Manatee County. And so I'm going to show what it looked like when you got there to begin with. So this is the outside of the house. They had it all cleaned and everything was nice. And this was the living room. Now, I'm sure that they wouldn't have left it like this for a showing, and we wouldn't have wanted them to, but just kind of give us a little overtake of how that process went.
So the process is that initially I will come in and do a consultation. When I come in and just have a walk around the house, I take some photographs, and then I put together consultation notes for the sellers so that they have like a working sheet to work from, which just gives recommendations room by room as to what needs to be done, what could help to be done to get the property ready. Because I find that the sellers find it very useful to have that, because a lot of the times it's not much. In some cases we have to do repainting or different things, but largely it's just the way that our houses, we live in them, and the way they need to be for photographs are different. So we want to pull out in this room, there's too much going on, so you can't see the space. Yes, there we go. And a space is what people are looking to see from the photograph. And I think this is a great example between those two pictures. So what we did in this one is we actually took some of the pieces of furniture out and then reused them over in another area of the house. And then there's always a comfy chair or a recliner that normally gets pulled out and put into the garage. And then we just simplified it and depersonalized it. I look at it as packing yourself up 20 to 30% and getting yourself ready before you have to go on the market. And it's a little less daunting for people once they have an offer and they're pending, if they've been through this process beforehand. So I try to handhold as much as I can, and I put together consultation notes that will say, let's clear all surfaces in here, move any items off the floor. Sometimes we were like, in this situation, they had the bar here, which is the
Right there.
movable bar right in here by the kitchen area where you would normally have a round table. And so that's what we did. We got them to move that out. I brought in the table and the chairs there. And again, the bar stools there, the counter stools, we move those out, which again, I will always do in photography, because what we don't realize until you look at a photograph is that a lot of things they're just obstacles that are blocking people's ability to be able to see the detail of the house, the next space of the house. Bar stools will stop you from being able to see the counter, the kitchen, the backsplash. You're just getting the back of the counter stools.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, so this one was is something we've come up a lot, I found, since COVID, is that people are changing rooms and using them as home offices. So this is actually the dining room in this house, and now it looks like a dining room. Whereas before, that wouldn't have made any sense if you'd have just kept it like that.
Yeah, it was like that. No good.
No, it's not. Yeah. And that's not going to sell your house. Also, the dog was in that photograph as well. So we do make sure that we kind of hide any evidence of pets.
Right.
We want you. My job is to make your house shine, is to make it look like a show house, so that somebody else can see themselves living in it. Again, we're seeing a lot of extra bedrooms now that are being turned into home gyms, and which is the situation here. We changed it back into a bedroom. And this is a very important room in this house, so it was important to have it show as a bedroom. You can see the ensuite bathroom there to the left. And if that hadn't been staged like this, then that room just would have fell flat. It could have been any room just with a window in it where you cram lots of stuff in it. Whereas this, you're like, great, guest bedroom, perfect. You can
exactly.
You can get the feel for the house.
Yep.
Outside again, less is more. Always when it comes to photography, because it's obstacles, and There you go. So we remove the table and chairs and then just opened it up. I like to use rugs outside as well. It grounds it. It shows the space, and you'll see now that you can just see straight through to outside. There's nothing touched in the pool cage. It looks clean. It looks well maintained, and that's always going to be appealing to buyers.
Yeah, I think that's the case for less is more.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Always less is more. And I mean, if a seller is really motivated, then I'm here to go on that process, and the process always goes really smoothly because they then have a checklist when I'm saying, let's get rid of this, this, and this. And if there's a sofa in there or something that's dark or that's just not going to work, I'll tell them, I'm like, either you get rid of it, now's the time to sell it, and then I can always bring in whatever's needed. So whether it's a table and chairs or a sofa or some bedding or a whole
right.
house full, I can do as little or as much as is needed. And then the sellers get to work from that list, and we try to have an end goal. So we're going, right, we would like to photograph, next week on Friday, and then we'll work back from there. And they'll work through the list and do their little bit, and then I will show up and I will let them know how much time I need to come in and do my side, which in this case was about 3 hours, I think 4 hours. And that way I can come in, I ask everybody to go out, and they come in and whiz around and do my thing and sprinkle my fairy dust, and then we get photographs taken. And by which point we're now in a really good position because the house is ready. You can then go ahead and do the showings. They get an offer, and then when they've got an offer and it's pending, they're all ready to go because the house they've done everything that they needed to. So it's not a panic. It's very smooth. And I find that it's a lot less stressful moving forward. And we always get a higher price.
I agree with that. And it's funny because when you staged this house for the seller, she came back and she said, "Oh, I didn't even recognize it." She said, "It looked so good, I almost wanted to stay." So
Yeah.
that was a kudos to you.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna add this one. Now this is all right, hold on just a second. I'm gonna have to back this whole thing up. Let me get back.
Yes, this is the
Okay. So I'm going to add this to the viewing audience. This is one that you walked through and did. So maybe you can explain a little bit about this home.
Yep. So this one was a home that was owned by a family who actually live over in the UK. So they they've been waiting to come back over here and to get it sold. So we're on kind of a crunch time frame with them. In this house, they had a lot of key furniture here that would work well. Like for instance, that's their dining room table. But in here, all of the furniture we brought in the living room, they previously had a sort of very dark leather sectional reclining set that was very dated. It had worked perfectly well for them. They knew it was dated, and I said, right, let's get rid of the dark furniture. And then I would bring in some lighter stuff, and then I jiggled around with everything else in some other furniture pieces in the house. And then we brought in just lighter. So the lighter sofas,
yep, I see that.
more greens. We tend to go more green rather than, the reds are not something that we work with a lot in staging, just because red tends to pop and overglow in photography, and it's not necessarily the camera's friend. And so it's again just neutralizing. This was their bedroom set in here. We really just added bedding in this particular room. And then they have a little guest casita at the back, which we just lighten that up a little bit in there, and just so that again, we want to show the functionality of all of the rooms, and for it to flow so that when a potential buyer is looking at photography or looking at a video walkthrough, they can really get a feel for the house and see everything. And again, houses look well presented, then they feel well maintained, and that sets you down the road already for a really smooth selling process.
Well, I think that the value, the service that you provide is well worth the investment.
Yes.
So, with that said, what type of expenses would the seller expect to incur? Because I've had you come into some of my stagings and you said, you know what, everything is good in here. You just need to move this here and here, and I'm going to bring in some lighter colored
Yep.
rugs to lighten it up. So, give us an idea about how that would work.
So the sort of expenses that you can expect, it starts off with a consultation fee, which you'll find most times that the realtor will cover that. So a consultation fee depends really on the size of the house, about sort of $250, $350. And that gives you an initial list or a walkthrough, talk through. It really just depends. And again, every home is different. So I really try and it depends. Sometimes the buyers are there and are able to do a lot more. We're quite happy to kind of whiz around and do things there and then. Um, After that, it really just depends on how much staging it needs. If you're looking to get me to come out, and I'm probably going to be there for a couple of hours with it really, so you'll probably be looking between anywhere between 1250 and 3250, depending on what you would need to have done. And
Okay.
that depends on whether or not I need to come in with my truck and movers in order to move furniture around. So that's just kind of where the costing comes from. But it is always a fraction of what it would cost you if you didn't have it staged, or your first price reduction. And in this market as well, I'm busier in a busier market because it's all about pricing, and staging gets you more money. So you've got more buyers. It just means you've got more buyers willing to offer more money. It's you can go up in price on a staged home that's been on the market, and I've had many of these, and I love coming into a home that's been on the market for too long and it hasn't sold, because there's going to be two things. First of all, you've got to stage it, and then you can readdress the price. Because
Right.
very often the staging will bring it up to being the price point where it is and make people see it. And your first price reduction will be probably 10 times what it would have cost you to get me to come in and stage it. So
That's
just,
a
I know that
that's a great point.
and the way to look at it is that it's just, you're taking money away from yourself. I know that sometimes it feels like you've got to pay it up front, and you're like, and a lot of times you don't understand the real benefits until I've come in, and people can be, they're not convinced, and they're like, we're not sure. And then I'm like, okay, I just want 4 hours in your property. And when they come back in, they then can't understand how much has been done in 4 hours. But we
Right.
come in, truck, staff, we know what we're doing, we're putting stuff away, we're moving it around, we're getting it right. And that's why I like everybody out of the house as well, so that we can just do a transformation. And it's not until you see everything, or sellers have to pack up, when at the end and we're coming to get everything out again, they realize just how bare and how much had come in to really do it. So we're very good at what we do, and we've got a lot quicker at doing it over the years. But it's, without a doubt, it'll make you, yeah, your first price reduction is normally 10 times what it would have cost me to come in.
That's a great point. So, is there any advice that you can give sellers on little things that they can do on their own that would help them, even help them help you, or help them help themselves, should they decide just to take your list and do some of the things that are on your list?
Absolutely. You just have to remember that if you're getting ready to sell, you're getting ready to leave this home. So at some point, someone's going to offer you the money for it, and you're going to accept it, and then you're going to move. So if you can start just mentally preparing yourself for that, then look around your house and see what are the most personal things. And that's personal photographs. Like I have a couple up in the background. We want to take those down, because that's not, we don't want a house full of a wedding wall of photographs when somebody else wants to come in and see themselves in there. We want to neutralize, and it's just starting to pack yourself down, and really open up closets, and look at your garage, get a storage unit, and just be prepared to start the moving process. Because all I'm doing is I'm kickstarting it. I'm going to come in and go, okay, like if closets are full, I'm going to want those emptied before. It doesn't bother me from the staging point of view, but full closets then make people feel like you've outgrown the space.
Right. Right.
So
And
it's
then they
just,
think that they wouldn't fit in it.
and then they think that they wouldn't fit in it. So it's depersonalizing it. So just, I say, take a deep breath, look around, go and get yourself some medium-sized boxes, consider a storage unit, and just gradually start the process. Because the first layer, which is the personal layer of stuff, is always what I have to take off. And the more of that that is popped away, the easier it is for me to then come in and whiz around and finish up the staging.
Yeah. Well, that is some great advice. Now, I'm going to put Alexandra's contact information in the link below so that if you want to reach out to her, of course, you can
Yep.
always contact me and I will connect you with her. But I really do appreciate you taking time this morning and showing us what it is that you do and the service that you provide. I think it's really going to help out a lot, especially
Thank
if
you.
somebody might not have been convinced before. And it doesn't have to be all encompassing.
Mhm.
You do offer it in a variety of sections. So at least a minimum would be the consultation and then
Yep.
go from there. So
Yep, as little or as much help as you need, I'm here to do so, and that's right the way up to getting you ready. And very often, I have clients that will come back and then get me to go into their new homes because by that time I'm so familiar with what furniture they have, and maybe what pieces they're taking, and if they're downsizing or upsizing, or they just they like what I've done to kind of bring everything together. They're like, "Oh, I wish we'd have done this before." And so they'll take me, and then I can do things that are more of a design and decorating to help them settle into the new place. So I just like to
that's
say
great.
yes to everything. And I've moved 47 times. I've done 5 countries and 3 continents of the world. So I'm pretty good at what I do. And I just
I would
like
say
to
you
be
have
able to help.
experience.
Yeah. Just want to be able to help. And nothing better than a property going pending very quickly to make me smile. So
I agree. Well, I want to thank you so much.
anytime.
Alexandra Given with staging, Home Staging by Alexandra. She's a great asset to me and a lot of other agents here in the Manatee and Sarasota County area. So I want to thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful week.
I will. You too.
Thank you.
So that was great to have Alexandra here with me this morning just to go over the things for getting your home properly staged. Now, I'll put her link in the description below along with mine. And if you would like to get any information for getting your home ready to sell here in the Sarasota and Manatee County area, I'd love to be able to help you out. And if you got value out of this video, just click that little subscribe button, ding the little bell. So every time I put on a video, you'll be notified. Mark Boehmig, Michael Saunders and Company.